There's a player in the NHL right now who is on pace for 100 points. He has one of the best plus-minus among forwards in the league. And according to every major poll, every betting market, and basically every hockey writer who covers the sport, he is the overwhelming favorite to win the Selke Trophy as the best defensive forward in hockey. And yet, if you asked most fans who are the top 10 forwards in the NHL, they probably would not include him. His name is Nick Suzuki. He's the captain of the Montreal Canadiens. And the data shows that he's having one of the most complete seasons by any forward in the modern era of the NHL. So let's dive in. Here's what you need to know about Nick Suzuki. He was drafted 13th overall in 2017 by the Vegas Golden Knights, and before he ever played a game for them, he was shipped to Montreal as part of the Max Pacioretty trade. The Habs didn't even want him at first. They had their eyes on Cody Glass, and they had to settle for Suzuki. He broke into the league in 2019, and within 2 years, he was centering the Canadiens on a run to the Stanley Cup final. He was 21 years old. And then, the team got completely gutted around him. Montreal tore it down. They traded veterans, they bottomed out, and suddenly, Nick Suzuki, this kid who'd been a solid complementary player, was expected to be the entire engine of a rebuilding team. And for a while, the numbers reflected exactly what you'd expect. 61 points, 66 points. Fine numbers, but nothing that screams franchise player. And this is where the discourse started. The hot takes. The "is Suzuki actually a number one center" discourse. Pundits going on national television calling him a second-line center. Not the guy you build around. Just fine. But here's what those people were missing. When you become the sole offensive threat on a team with no second-line center, no real supporting cast, and the entire opposing game plan designed to shut you down, your defensive metrics crater. Not because you got worse at defense, but because you're spending every ounce of energy carrying the offense. And what Suzuki did, quietly, year after year, was something that very few players in the league does. He got better. Every single season. 41 points, 61, 66, 89, and now 91 points with 10 games still to play. And the defense didn't just come back, it came back better than it ever was. So let's talk about what Nick Suzuki actually does for the Montreal Canadiens when he steps on the ice. The Canadiens, as a team, are not particularly good at controlling play at 5-on-5 this season. Their shot attempt share, expected goal share, and goal share are all under 50%. They are, by many advanced stats, a below-average team. Now here's what happens when Nick Suzuki is on the ice. Their shot share goes from 47% to 52%. Their expected goal share jumps from 47% to 53%. And their goal share, and this is the one that matters, goes from 49% to 63%. 63. That means for every 10 goals scored while Suzuki is playing, his team scores more than 6 of them. In other words, without Nick Suzuki, the Montreal Canadiens are a below-average team. With him on the ice, they look like a playoff contender. Same roster, same coaching, same systems. The only variable that changes is whether number 14 is on the ice. But now we know what you'll say. Isn't this the case for every star in the NHL? And the answer is Yes and no. We took the list of current 90-point players this season and looked at the on-off expected goal share. What we found is impressive. In terms of sheer impact on his team's success, Nick Suzuki isn't just elite. He's standing toe-to-toe with Connor McDavid for the highest impact rating in the world. He isn't just trailing the superstars, he has officially leaped over Mitch Marner and Nikita Kucherov. So while the Canadiens added a lot of talent in the last years, make no mistake, this team goes as Nick Suzuki goes. Okay, so we've established that Nick Suzuki transforms this hockey team. With him, they look like a contender. But we wanted to go further. We wanted to see where Suzuki sits relative to every other forward in the NHL. Not just on offense, not just on defense, but both at the same time. So we pulled data on every forward in the league with at least 500 minutes of 5-on-5 ice time this season. That's 363 players. The x-axis is expected goals for per 60 minutes, relative to teammates. This tells you one thing. Does this player make his team's offense better when he's on the ice? The y-axis is the same idea, but for goals against. Flipped, so better defense is up. Does this player make his team harder to score on? 363 dots. Every qualifying forward in the NHL. Most players live in the middle. The offensive stars cluster over here. They drive play, they generate chances, and they also tend to be on the ice for a lot of goals against. That's not a knock, that's just how it works when you're playing 22 minutes a night against the best players in the world. The shutdown guys are over here. Players who suppress chances against, but don't do much offensively. And then there's this corner, the players who do both, who move the needle on offense and defense at the same time. There aren't many. So, where does Suzuki fit? There he is. Nick Suzuki ranks in the top 14% of all forwards offensively, and simultaneously in the top 11% defensively. When you narrow it to centers only, the position that actually matters for the Selke discussion, 0 other centers on pace for more than 40 points within the NHL beat him in both offensive and defensive impact. 0. He's standing alone. Now, if you trust your eyes, that chart just told you everything you need to know. But if you want the receipt, this is goals above replacement, GAR. The idea is simple. Imagine you swap a player out and replace him with whoever gets called up from the minors, the average replacement level guy. How many goals does that cost your team over a full season? The number already accounts for zone starts, strength of opponent, and who you're playing with. It's as close to a pure individual grade as hockey analytics gets. So where does Nick Suzuki fit in? Third in the entire NHL, behind only Kucherov and McDavid. Not third among centers, third among all forwards. And here's the part of that number that doesn't show up in the label. Suzuki's GAR is built differently than almost everyone above and below him on that list. His offense contributes 17.6 goals above replacement. His defense adds another 5.4. That defensive number, among players producing at his offensive level, is the highest in the league. Not close. Kucherov's defense is minus 3.5. McKinnon's is -2. McDavid barely breaks even. These are great players, but they are offensive forces of nature who accept a defensive cost. That's the trade. Suzuki doesn't make the trade. He scores like a superstar. He defends like a Selke winner. And the model that tries to isolate exactly how much each individual player is worth, separate from his line mates, his coach, his teammates, says he's the third most valuable forward on the planet right now. "24 Stanley Cups, the most storied franchise in hockey history. And for a long time, a question that hung over the Bell Center every single night. Where is the next one coming from? You need a center to win in this league, a real one, the kind that shows up in October and is still dominating in June. The Canadiens have one. A player built not just to produce, but to win. Nick Suzuki is here. The only question is, how far will he bring the Habs?